Greetings, hungry nerds, Ed here, back again, movie review, The Turning, Wolf, Finheart, Finn Wolfheart, Heart Finwolf, Finn Heartwolf, Wolf, spoilers! Okay, so I was really looking forward to The Turning, based off of the premise of the source material and the trailer, which looked really cool. I mean, I didn't think that this movie would be breaking any new ground or anything like that, but I didn't think I would be this disappointed in The Turning. At the very least, I thought I would have a fun time for the most part, and I did. I did enjoy maybe the first half of this film, and I will give it that this movie looked great. There were some shots in here that I was like, wow, this is like really interesting to look at, but I certainly didn't think that at the end of this thing I would be going, what did I watch? But we'll get to that stuff. We'll get to the ending, and we'll get to the pacing and all of that stuff in a bit. But first, what I enjoyed about this film, like I said, I really liked the aesthetic of this film, and you know, a haunted house movie, it's been done before, so like I said, it's not gonna break any new ground, but I think the way they shot this film and just the overall look of it was just really gorgeous to look at. The atmosphere that they created regarding the haunted house vibe, they did a really good job of that. And just the estate was just beautiful. I like what they did with a few shots where the sun was like setting in the background of the estate, and it just looked amazing. And there were a few shots within the estate itself where, you know, they used mirrors to kind of like frame the shot up. And in a lot of horror movies, you know, there's like a big open, I hit the microphone. They'll use like a big open dark space, and it draws your attention to like that big space. And you know, like something's going to happen like in the corner there. It's like, oh, like what's going to pop out and that sort of thing. But like in this film, they do that a couple of times, but there were a few instances where they used mirrors and it will kind of like draw your attention, but like sometimes there'll kind of be something there, like a shadow or a face or something like that happening, and sometimes there won't be anything. There was a scene where Kate was having a conversation with Mrs. Gross, and they were framing from like their profile, so we saw them from the side, and in the middle of the both of them was a mirror, and we saw Mrs. Gross twice, and I thought a scare was going to happen 100%, but it was just such a cool shot because your attention was drawn to the middle, to the mirror instead of the two characters on the side. So I think a lot of the shots like that throughout this film made it interesting to look at. A lot of the character things are pretty cool in this film too. I like the way the characters interact with each other for the most part. Flora, the little girl, she mostly acted like a little girl would act. Not like a horror movie creepy little kid. Like there's the stereotypical creepy horror movie kid, and she wasn't that. She acted mostly like a normal kid. You know, when she was afraid, she was like genuinely afraid. And when she was happy, she was like acting like a kid would act when they're happy and like being like cute and shit. Like there was the one scene where Kate was like, I have a brave face, like let me see your brave face, and she did this thing where it's like, you know, trying to make the kid be, you know, brave in like a scary situation, and the kid, Flora, acted like a kid would act in that situation. Miles was a complete terror in this film. He was actually like, there were a few moments in this film where he was like cringy. He was like so creepy towards Kate, the nanny. Like he would call her sexy and like blow her kisses and like, whoa. And there was one moment where he was like standing over her bed when she was sleeping, and he was like, oh, there's a spider crawling over you. And he kind of like, he almost explained his way out of it, where it made it like, okay, like you got the spider off me, all right, bye. But then he like leaned in and kissed her on the cheek. I think it was on the cheek or the forehead or something like that. But he like leaned in and kissed her, and she was like, get the fuck out of my room. But he was just like off the wall. And there were so many moments in this where like things would happen and the two kids would play a prank on Kate. And it's just like, just leave. Just get out. Like, we have so many moments in horror movies where we're saying to the character, like, why can't you just leave? But of course, like, the character is there for a reason and a situation, and even though we're saying the character should leave, the character themselves never have that moment where it's like, oh, maybe I should go. However, in this film, the character has that moment where it's like, I could just leave. And she does leave. She's out of the house, and she's in a payphone, and she calls her friend, and she's like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna leave. But then she doesn't. And I just don't understand, where it's like, you got there, you came to the conclusion that you should leave. Why didn't you? There were so many reasons for you to not stay, but you chose to stay. Why? Why? I don't understand. Why would you do such a thing? You have no ties to this family. There's no reason for you to stay. But there were a few moments where Miles' character was like over the top. But for the most part, I did enjoy what he brought to the table. And Finn Wolfhard, he gave a great performance, I think. He was good. The scene when he was like beating the drum when Kate was trying to talk to him, I just wanted to punch him in the face. Because it's like, you're trying to talk to a kid, and they're just like, no, I'm not going to listen to you. The caretaker, Mrs. Gross, oh, yikes. She defended the kids to no end. And there was one scene where she would just be like, you know they were born into privilege, right? So Kate was kind of just like, you know, Mrs. Gross did a nice thing for you, and she cooked for you. Like, bring your plate to the table, like a polite human. But Mrs. Gross was like, no, it's my job. Don't tell them, like, whatever. Like, Finn was expelled from school for choking another kid and slamming his head against the floor. And the caretaker was like, no, not him, not these kids. They can't do anything wrong. And it was just like, oh, like, Kate, leave. Go home. Can't understand why you wouldn't leave. I would have gotten the fuck out of there. Back to the cinematography and some of the really cool, interesting shots of this film. There was one moment where Kate was like really stressed out, and she was like in the tub and everything, and she kind of just submerges herself like under the water, and then we see from her perspective like the surface, but like out from the tub, like looking up. And there's a face that went like in front of the water. And first of all, it was a really cool shot. Just seeing out from the tub and the water. Awesome. Like, I like that sort of thing. And then the face that just like came above her, and then she came out and like there was nobody there. But the pacing, though. There were a lot of moments in this film where it was very predictable. Like, you know, her walking through dark hallways, and it's like a jump scare is coming. We're gonna have a scare. She's gonna encounter a ghost or something like that. So the premise of the source material, the turn of the screw, you're questioning whether this is actually a haunting or if this is all in her head. And they establish early in the film, her mother is kind of like mentally unstable, and it's a throwaway thing where it's kind of brought back at the end. But the caretaker at one point says, I hope that this isn't like in your bloodline or like a hereditary thing. And it just drives me nuts because like the whole setup of is she crazy doesn't come back until like the last 10 minutes of the film. If they drill it in where it's like, this is clearly a haunting, the kid Miles is just clearly an asshole, and we don't question until like maybe the last 10 minutes of the film, maybe Kate's crazy. And even though this film is an hour and a half, it seems to drag on, and it's very like formulaic. The kids will play a prank, there'll be a scare, Kate will get upset and consider leaving, and then she'll be like, oh no, I'm not gonna leave. And then the same thing. The kids will play a prank. There'll be a scare. And it's the same thing. It just circles around and around and around. Oh, the ending. My biggest problem with this film is the ending. It ended so abruptly. Like, it seemed like we were just getting to the climax of the film and we were about to have this major revelation and learn something like but it just ended. A majority of this film was very straightforward, and even though it was like predictable at times, I didn't mind its straightforward nature because fine, like some movies are straightforward. It doesn't have to be ambiguous and all that, but it just ended so quickly. And you're like, the movie's over? Are we done here? Is this done? Are we done? Are we leaving now? The credits are rolling. Am I going to stick around? Post-credit? No? Are you going to tell us anything? We're done? I could go now? All right. It drove me nuts that for a majority of this film, they established that this is a haunting. You know, there was no question that Kate was crazy, but then the last 15 minutes or so of the film, they start to imply that Kate might be crazy, and then they just end it. There's no answer. There's no, like, conclusion. There's just, we're done here. You can go. You can go home. All right. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching the movie. If that was the direction they were going to take this film, we needed like another 10 or 15 minutes at the end of this film to kind of just like answer what the fuck was going on. They had her mom send her pictures and they were just like all like chalked up, like this black, I don't know, like soot or like charcoal or something like that. And she was like doing the crazy kid drawing the ring thing, but it was just like blank sheets of paper, completely blacked sheets of paper, and they sent it to her. I thought it was going to mean something, but it meant nothing. It was kind of just a reminder that we met her mom at the beginning of the film, and she was a crazy person, and then the movie ended. So, I'm disappointed. I'm greatly disappointed. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just trust too easily. You know, I'm too quick to just give my heart to a movie and just say, this is going to be good, and I have high expectations, and I'm going to enjoy this film. Either way, the visuals were cool, the acting wasn't bad, and the ending was bullshit. 3.7. 3.7 out of 10. That's my score. This movie, you let me down. The Turning. You hurt me for the last time. The Turning. You let me down. The Turning. You broke my heart. The Turning. Blech. Ugh. Yuck. Thank you, everybody, for watching my review of The Turning. Leave your thoughts down below. Did you like this movie? Did you hate this movie? Did this movie break your heart? Well, maybe that's a little too strong, but did this movie disappoint you? Just leave your comments down below and let me know what you thought of this fucking movie. If you like what you see and you want to see more, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. And I'll see everybody next time. Stay hungry, nerds.